to celebrate this channel hitting 666 subscribers, I'll let my metal hair down and make that count go down again by releasing this video. If you're not into extreme metal, then this is not the video that's going to convince you, I guess, because it's not some like beginner's guide to the genre. But don't close the tab just yet. If you want to hear me explain what makes me voluntarily listen to some of the worst sounds you have ever heard, probably, hopefully in an entertaining manner, then stick around. I made a video called Why Would Anyone Listen to Black Metal? Click here-ish to see it if you haven't already. In that video, I squirm around trying to navigate the treacherous landscape of listening to music by people that shouldn't objectively be listened to, probably. And in that video, I promised to make a video recommending records in this genre. So this that you're watching right now is my attempt at making that list. Everything I'm about to talk about here are records that I own and love. This is music that I have listened to again and again, often for many years. And not just weird shit I dig up for weirdness sake or to, you know, have some content for the video. These are, you know, gems from my collection. I didn't want to mention records that everyone with even a cursory grasp of the genre is familiar with, but I also didn't want to prioritize obscurity over quality. Black metal is just a small part of what I listen to, so I don't have the most like esoteric knowledge about the genre, but I think I've arrived at an okay mix of stuff. I hope even pretty seasoned black metal listeners can get something out of this video. Should you somehow have the masochistic disposition that makes you want to hear more than the short snippets I've included in the video, I will have links to listen to each full album, if I can find a link, in the video description box below. All the little snippets in this video have been lowered in volume so I don't accidentally traumatize anyone and so that it fits better with the spoken voice. But if you are sensitive to violent sounds, you should probably proceed with care. I found it really hard to decide how to structure this list. And like doing it geographically is probably one of the least useful ways to go about it. So of course that's what I ended up doing, at least for this first half of the video, kind of. Australia might not intuitively feel like a metal country, but they have a really potent metal scene. So I'll give them their own little mini section right here at the start. So first one out is not strictly black metal, but definitely extremely bleak. Where did I buy this? Oh, so I bought this. This has one of the Juno stickers, which you might think of as an electronic music, like dance music store, but you can find metal there because no one else looks for metal there somehow. So anyway, reflections, very dark, low contrast, and it kind of sounds the way it looks. This is like if death metal overdosed on PCP and had a nightmare lost in the woods, but worse. The guitars just blend into a massive wall of harsh noise. You have no idea what they're playing. And then there's some like insane, ultra resonant, dissonant, solo shredding stuff on top. And then the growling or whatever it is the voices are doing in here. And the just insane drums. It's just, this is just absolute chaos. I suppose the point here is to just get pulverized by sound. By the way, have I sold you on this yet? Are you clicking the link to listen for yourself yet? But like beyond just the shock value of the noise and chaos, there are underlying structures and some sort of pacing here that really rewards repeat listening. Or like rewards, it punishes repeat listening, I guess, but you know what I mean. As of late 2025, when I'm recording this, they have 3 other studio albums, but I think this is the one to get. I also have, okay, is this the first one that I have on some like CD box thing? Yeah, I guess this might be the first one. Relentless Execution of Ceremonial Excrescence. Like this is straight up classic thesaurus wanking death metal naming. It's supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be really stupid, just complicated words stacked together. It's an aesthetic. Incredible album, just like if nothing else can scratch your itch, if you just want the most violent chaos, yeah, get some Impetuous ritual and sit back and reconsider your life choices. Oh, and I should say, I think they're very secretive, but I think 2 members are also in Portal, which is maybe a little bit more well known. But Impetuous Ritual is like their more insane side. And if you've heard Portal, you should be very worried about that statement. Or intrigued, you weirdo. Next up from Australia is something very different sounding. And this is definitely also black metal. There's a whole bunch of albums from this band. I just have this one, and I mostly only ever want to listen to this because it kind of feels like it's fantastic more by accident than by virtue of intent or skill. If they were here, I wouldn't say that to their faces, but they're in Australia, so ha. This is super repetitive and hypnotic with the production just so bleak and fussy. It's gonna scare off everyone except the most hardened black metal veteran. But if you can tolerate guitars that sound like vacuum cleaners in an empty parking garage and drums that sound like someone took a massage gun to a typewriter, the atmosphere on this record is just incredibly captivating in all its dissonant misery. And the album is almost 80 minutes long, so not for the weak. They have no consistency in what formats they release on. Some are vinyl only, some are tape only, some are digital only. This one is CD only, I think. I have no idea why that is happening, but yeah, CD is the option if you want to get this on physical media. Let's go to this side of the planet. Normally you would expect a bunch of Norwegian bands when someone lists their favorite Nordic black metal, but there's such a rich scene for extreme metal here across all the Nordic countries and like ever evolving too. So this video is blasphemously a list of black metal records that include nothing from Norway. We go to Sweden though, and I'm actually gonna pick out now 3 records in one go. To represent the homeland. Mylingar, they are a comparatively new band if you consider the sort of extreme metal history of the Nordics. At least they're not from the 90s. And this has to be some of the most oppressive and chaotic and violent music ever recorded. It's just an all-engulfing pyroclastic cloud of black bile coming out of the speakers. The guitar tone alone should just be studied by science because it's so incredibly crushing. The real rite of passage is to play all these albums consecutively in one sitting. But if you can only ever stomach one, I guess you could go with the third one, which is this Döda Själar, which means dead souls. I don't know why the sticker is on that way. Anyway, because the opening is here, so yeah, whatever. You can tell the order of the albums by the number of dead bodies on the cover. So you get the first one with one dude, then you get the dual coffins on the second one, and these 3 guys. I genuinely don't understand how they could improve their legacy by releasing anything else. Like, this is perfect. These 3, just what a body of work. But in June of 2024, so last year as I'm recording this, they hinted that a fourth album was in the works. So we'll see if they can somehow outdo themselves again. These are not on streaming services, but you can find it on Bandcamp. Moving over to Finland, at least I think this is from Finland because they're super secretive. I'll leave the wrapper on because there's a sticker on there on the protective outer sleeve. And I think it's a band. This could just be one guy. I don't know. I'm getting to a section later in this video where I talk about one-man bands. I think this is a band though. I don't know why, but anyway. Arnaut Pavle, Arnaut Pavle, no, it's not French, it's like Serbian, somehow in the beginning. Some guy that turned into a vampire in the 1700s. They have a rather peculiar blend of like raw, old school black metal and sort of a punk energy. I shouldn't really like this because I've never been into punk. I generally don't like black metal that retains like obvious rock and roll roots. And I almost never like short songs. And this has all three, but it's fantastic. It's like rickety and noisy and crude and sometimes sounds like it's all falling apart, but it still feels so goddamn solid and perfect at the same time. Like every song is a little microcosm of just straight up flawless punky vampire themed thrash party black metal. And if that sounds like an insane cocktail of descriptions, then yeah, this is kind of insane. It's a weird thing to say about black metal, but there's such an infectious joy in this record. One of my very best finds in the last few years, and I'm lucky I was somehow able to find a copy of the long since sold out vinyl version. 9 songs, 29 minutes, no fillers, just go time. Next up, possibly one of the corniest names in all of black metal, in fierce competition, I might add. Carpe Noctem, seize the night. How did that get past the brainstorming stage? I don't know. Anyway, Carpe Noctem, they're an Icelandic band, and they share members with the past or current lineups of like Mistyrming, Nadra, and I guess like Odz Manouk, or what's pronunciation? Anyway, I'll put it on screen and you can read it and not have to listen to my shitty Icelandic. If you like Icelandic black metal, but have somehow missed this, you should definitely amend that. Because while the name is corny, the music here is outstanding. We get long tracks, 5 tracks in 52 minutes. That are like cavernous and narratively very evocative. We get plenty of dissonance and just very oppressive atmosphere. Good thing if you're into black metal. In terms of like composition and technical prowess, we are getting a little bit more advanced here than with some of the prior entries on this list. So we can hear more similarities here with bands like Deathspell Omega, for example. And researching this video, I did notice that they released another album in, I think, 2018 that I had missed completely, but that might be good too. But this is the one I'm recommending now. We can use this next band to transition from Nordics and Iceland into the US, because this is American Axel Poole, and he is in approximately 1 bazillion bands, and an Icelander, which is Dagur Gíslason, who is known from Mistþyrming. Skáphe, I don't know, how do you pronounce it? Skáphe? Skáphe. Is even more cavernous and chaotic and dissonant than Carpe Noctem. There is this just incredible amount of reverb on this, like on everything, that makes all sounds just blend into a sort of vortex of malignant insanity. One of my all-time favorites in the genre, like truly out of all black metal, this is a favorite. But I'm really not sure why that is, why it resonates with me so much. There's just something here that speaks to me more than almost all of the other like ultra chaotic dissonant stuff, and there's a lot of it out there. This is a real go-to for me. And so with that, with the bridge via Alex Poole and Skáphe, we get into the Americans. And I had more bands listed for this section, but then I realized they were more well-known than I was aiming for. So with this list and this video getting so long anyway, I decided to cull a little bit. So I'll talk about bands like Black Curse, for example, in some other context some other time. But I absolutely have to mention Weakling. Despite being a rather legendary release at this time. Recorded in '98, I think, but not released until 2000 when they were already split up. So this is their one release. Deada's Dreams is just one of the all-time greatest. 5 tracks for 74 minutes of music, so very long songs, right up my alley. I don't really know what to say that can do this justice. I recommend just strapping in for the full hour 15 ride that this is. It is slightly more, well, not easy listening, but slightly less challenging listening maybe than some of the other stuff on this list, but it's not exactly what you'd recommend to a newcomer to the genre. But just, like, this is legendary for very good reasons. And I would love to have the vinyl version of this, but it's so absurdly rare and expensive that I don't expect that to ever happen. I think it's like $2,000 for the vinyl these days, at least. Yeah, I know you're supposed to hold the Norwegian scene, or at least Nordic scene, in the highest regard with black metal, but this might be the ultimate black metal record. Feel free to call me a poser hipster in the comments, but try to make it funny to entertain the other people reading. Next one up has a Weakling connection, actually. So Necrite, they have obviously listened to Weakling, you can tell right away, not just in terms of like sound and structure, but also with the approach to vocals. And Jason Bersisi, is that his name? Who's in here, was in Necrite. He also played in Dispirit, which is the black metal band that John Gossard from Weakling started after Weakling. So they played together. This band just released this one album, I think, under the name Necrite before evolving to a slightly different lineup and changing the name to, and I might have to bleep this, Black Fucking Cancer. But I want to highlight the Necrite records because it's really great. Like the Black Fucking Cancer stuff is great too. I have everything they've released under that name. But this is really special. As a lot of output is from artists when they're starting out or when they're younger and have a more sort of pure vision, in a sense. The atmosphere here is just super oppressive. You might be seeing a theme in my preferences at this point. And the vocals are genuinely some of the best I know in this genre. Like very long, tormented screams that fit perfectly here. And as should be pretty clear by now, I'm also a sucker for songs with a really good reverb, and there's a really good cavernous one on the snare throughout this album. So definitely one that ticks a lot of boxes for me. Next one is technically not an album, and I will admit that I prefer one side over the other. This is a split between Predatory Light and Vorde. By the way, Predatory Light is such a brilliant band name. That just slaps. This lineup of Predatory Light includes Kyle Morgan, that some of you nerds might know from bands like Ash Borer. So this is a split and not an album, and I mostly just listen to the Predatory Light side, but I include it in this list because the tremolo riffing and the scales and just the overall structure of that side is just so utterly fantastic. And like black metal is a genre that builds so much on texture and atmosphere, but this is some of the best music in all of black metal, I think, at least for me. Just genius stuff. And so next up, we're gonna switch categories here to one-man bands. And I really love one-man bands in black metal because there's just something about the sort of inherent need for camaraderie if you're playing together in a band that just doesn't really fit with the sort of aesthetic and ideological ideals of the genre. Like you're some ultra grumpy misanthropist loner that is also in a band. Like it doesn't really work, does it? So some lone weirdo doing everything by themselves just feels more true, I guess, to the ideals of the genre. And so maybe this topic, one-man bands, should have been a standalone video, but I don't want to label myself as a black metal guy by making 20 videos about the genre, so I'm just going to pack it into this video right here and move on to other styles of music. Anyway, let's get going with this first one. So Odz Manouk is an American. And by the way, this looks like I have, where have I bought this? I think the right, can we get this? No, probably not. I think this might be how they write on the price stickers at Amoeba in Los Angeles or San Francisco. And like, it doesn't matter where I bought it. Let's move on. So Odz Manouk is an American-ish, and I'll get to the ish. And if I didn't know, I might have been able to guess that based on some of the riffs, especially in like the slower passages, has a sort of US black metal vibe. But he also has Armenian roots, and there's some weirdo folk music vibes in certain parts here. In terms of notation, not instrumentation sort of folk. It's straight up black metal in terms of the sounds. But that sort of folk tinge that's on here just makes it extra compelling to me. And there's something in this record that just feels like it's ecstatic in a way. Like you're on a high somehow. It's also at times very much rocking, which is, again, something I generally dislike in black metal, but it feels 100% right and genuine on this record. And I also have 2 later releases, both on cassette, but to be honest, I didn't like them as much as this self-titled debut. This dude, by the way, also ran Rhinoserves, who knows how it's supposed to be pronounced, which was sort of a band and label hybrid thing. I'm not familiar with all the output there, but it's definitely something I should spend more time exploring because the guy is obviously capable of greatness, and this is made during the heydays of Rhinoserves, so I owe myself to check that out some more. Another American one-man band. This one, well, I obviously bought it at Rough Trade because it has a Rough Trade sticker. Michael Reykjaviks, is that his name? Michael. He is also in Fell Voices and Venom and Yellow Eyes and Vorde, that was on the Predatory Light split before. This record is pretty lo-fi and raw and punky. It definitely feels sort of like a rehearsal recording, kind of. Structurally, it's pretty simple as well. Like, it's kind of indie pop dressed up as black metal. But man, am I feeling this. There's so much emotion in this record. The tremolo guitars on top are just fantastic in a sort of monotonous, simplistic way. They're just right and don't change for change's sake. It's just 33 minutes, I think, in total, this thing, which includes the sort of drone ambient middle track. But what a cleanse this album is. Lots of fantastic tension on here, like tension between opposites. Like it's melancholy but triumphant. It is crushing but soaring. It is beautiful but vile. Just however that works. He just nailed it with this one. Great, great, great record. Let's go back to this side of the world, Germany in this case. This is half ambient, almost like field recording stuff. I think every other track is like that. And then every other track is black metal, which is just ultra hypnotic, whirling, repetitive, windswept tundra kind of black metal. Especially track 2 here is just one for the ages. The dude that does this has also made a couple of releases on Tobias Möckel's label Kunsthallproduktionen. And sonically, this is definitely in line with Möckel's project Paysage des Verts. You really understand that they are kindred spirits in terms of sound. So here, this is the album I'm talking about, and this is on a label called Cold Dimensions. This is another album by him, which is on Kunsthallproduktionen. So, like, they all just look the same, but these are different albums on different labels. I have the... Oh, look how quaint. I've kept the wrapping because it had a sticker on it. Aw, the little collector in me wanted to keep the sticker. How cute. Anyway, you really need to be ready to embrace almost like static repetition to enjoy this. But if you can get into that stuff, this is just utterly magical in all its desolate bleakness. Staying in Germany, the next album is a preposterously quiet recording. I don't know what the hell happened here, but like, the thing is though, this mix is much more rewarding to crank up like on your amplifier and play it loud that way than if it's already been pushed to clipping in the mix. So very rare that black metal does this, but yeah, this one's like that. Basically you can't see anything because it's so dark. Maybe in this light you kind of can. And so I have it on CD, but I also have the very limited wax sealed, but I managed to unseal without breaking the wax vinyl version. Van is the record label. And so this is different. The vinyl version is different. Oh, how can I even open this? By the way, I am the one that submitted this to Discogs. If you're watching this release on Discogs, that's this particular copy. Like the booklet is, can I show this somehow? The booklet is like mounted on the inside here. And I mean, the art direction is not perhaps gonna win awards, but yeah. You get lyrics, you get bonus material on here. One of the bonus tracks, I think it's a bonus track, is called here THATH, which is just an abbreviation for To Have and To Hold, which is a Depeche Mode song. So there's a Depeche Mode cover track on this record. Wait, I have more to say about this before we move on. We get absolutely top tier storytelling here. Like, just as you feel like you've got the hang of what's even going on, there's some shift or turn. It's like super evocative, almost filmic, if I can put it that way. So just like how one guy could make all this, just, it's almost impossible to imagine. But apparently he did this on his own. Just an incredible record, very long too. Such a journey. I was never able to find the enthusiasm I have for this record with his subsequent albums, but I should probably try some more because he's like clearly a genius. So yeah, Ruins of Beverast, Rain Upon the Impure, fantastic, just fantastic stuff. I don't know if it's worth tracking this down over the CD for the differences, especially now. It's like limited to 325. Probably cost a lot of money now, I don't know, but either way, get this record if you want like very narrative sort of black metal. So, and from Germany, we go back to Sweden again, but now in one-man band mode. This might be one of the more melodic entries on this list in this video, but it's also like super dissonant and tormented at other times. So the guy that made this is in an absolute shit ton of projects. Just like an impossible amount of bands and projects under his name. And some of them are on labels that are problematic, let's put it that way. But then other stuff is on labels that are like explicitly and outspokenly anti-fascist. So I guess he's pretty much strictly a darkness worshipping sort of LARP kind of black metal guy. Someone should probably make a documentary about him because the output is so massive and so broad. It really boggles the mind. I might try at some point to make a separate video about his output alone, but I only have a tiny fraction of what he's done. And I haven't even heard maybe a tenth of his output. So maybe someone more well-versed in his stuff should give it a go. But it's all got this sort of very unwavering aesthetic vision, and he's clearly very gifted musically. So I do think more people should explore this stuff. Like with all the records here, there's going to be a Discogs link in the description, and through that you can click through and see all the other projects that he's in. This album is just straight up excellent black metal. The vocals are often more like crooning and weird, like more of a distant descendant of what Attila did for Mayhem's De Mysteris than, you know, the sort of horny pigeon sounds that a lot of other people are going for in this genre. And I think this music is just more emotionally impactful thanks to the style of singing used here. There's also a beautiful little piano bit, and the outro ambient is just fantastic as well. And the sequel to this, number 2 in the series, is all ambient. So, and he has some projects that are all ambient as well. I will say about the production here, seems like this has been EQ'd, or there's some artifact of some processing that gives it a pretty uncomfortable like treble edge. But like with a lot of black metal in the sort of lo-fi category, it works better in headphones than through speakers, at least for me. It does have that overall generous dose of like cave reverb though, which is always great for the vibe. And I think this has become a little bit like rare and expensive these days, but it's worth chasing down. And most of what he's ever done, not everything, but most of it is available full length on YouTube. I'll link to that too if you want to give it a go. So next one could also have been in the NORDICS section, but it's a one-man band, so it's in this section. I don't know why I'm trying to show this. You can barely see anything at all. Can you see that there's some stuff in the corners? Like this is ultra dark brown and black, and that's it. I am not really sure I can try to pronounce this artist name without getting flagged by the algorithm. And that's like a general rule. You have to be very careful with Finnish black metal because it's got more incel Nazis than a 4chan meetup. But I have no idea where this guy stands politically. And there is sort of a lyrics sheet in here. And judging by that, it's, I mean, this is just your basic black metal tropes about darkness and evil. So doesn't at least seem to be Nazi leaning, which is just awful to have to deal with even considering that with music. But anyway, this seems fine from that regard. So if you're fine with hell and torment, then sure, have a listen. Anyway, this sounds like it was recorded like over a landline phone from a room next to the rehearsal bunker, kind of. Very lo-fi, very acquired taste in terms of production. But the thing is, with some black metal, the lo-fi aspect is what makes it great. And this is one of the better examples I can think of. This record needs to sound like this. Musically, this is super fierce and somehow also catchy. Not sure how that combination is possible, but I kind of suspect also, based on that description too, that this guy might be in Arnaut, Pavle, or whatever you want to pronounce it as, that I mentioned earlier, because the vibe is kind of similar, and just like that band, I shouldn't really like this given my general preferences for the genre, but I think this record is amazing. It is, again, it's like super catchy somehow. Not sure how that works. And it's got these little bite-sized songs with just exactly the right vibe. Half an hour long, and you come out the other side just blasted clean of all your worries, although maybe with the tinnitus. Last one out. We're finally at the end here. Black metal can sometimes feel like a parody of itself. Maybe quite often it can feel like a parody of itself. So I appreciate when someone manages to do it in a way that feels just super serious, because you kind of want to take it serious. It's part of the appeal to me, I think. So whether something appears silly or serious is of course a matter of like personal taste and preference. But to me, this guy who's from Switzerland, he gets it right. So out of these two albums, because he's made two under this name, no vowels because vowels are for losers. Out of these two, I think I prefer the second one, but they're both so good, so I can't just recommend one. And this is cold, oppressive, alien, and it's free of the sort of deliberately inept production that is part of the black metal aesthetic in some circles, like on the previous record. It just has a very threatening vibe here. And also, I should say that when black metal artists try to incorporate like industrial or noise type of sounds and interludes, it can sound pretty lame compared to what actual noise or industrial artists are able to make. But the noisy bits here, especially on the second album, are really nasty. And also, like I said about Ruins of Beverast, how one guy could make all of this just blows my mind. But here it is also sounding so inhuman. Ruins of Beverast, you can like hear someone's playing everything. This just feels almost robotic in a sense. It isn't, but yeah, it's just got this very cold industrial edge to it. I think it just takes incredible vision and determination to pull something like this off. So hats off to this guy. I had way more records listed in my notes, but I think we call it here. The video gets too long to sit through. Maybe I'll talk about other extreme metal at some other point in the future. Now, if you are deeply familiar with any of these records that I mentioned, and you know of something that sounds like it's in the same vein, that you think would appeal to me the same way, or to other people who like it in the same way, please mention it in the comments below. Please give me tips on other stuff I should listen to now that you've heard what I'm into. And also let me know if this is a type of video you would like to see more of from other genres, for example. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.